Welcome, greetings, salutations, and all that other fun stuff. It is time for Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link Virtual Studios. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined as always today by Bryn Tillman and Stan Robinson Jr. How y'all doing today?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Really good.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
just FYI, I have one more class and then I'm headed to Outbound. So excited.
She's outbound for outbound this afternoon.
Wow.
So that is good to hear. So if you're going to be at Outbound, look up Bryn. She'll be there hobbling around. So
My little broken foot.
broken foot. So I think it's safe to say that we all want to dominate our specific industry, niche, vertical, however you want to put it. The best way to do this is to become the thought leader in your industry, niche, vertical, whatever. But best doesn't mean it happens overnight or even randomly. It takes hard work, it takes commitment. That's why we're here today to talk you through how to become that go-to person in your industry that your audience of prospects thinks of first when they're looking for answers to their question. And this is really important, right, guys?
It is. My reasoning around this is, people are shopping all the time. They're looking for solutions. They're looking, and I'm saying shopping, not necessarily to buy stuff, but to learn stuff, right? They're out there looking for content and information. Often it's the content that they come across that will influence who they engage as a vendor when the time is right. And so it is absolutely essential that we are out there.
Stan?
Totally agree. I realize that we always use the term thought leader. If you don't picture yourself as a thought leader in this type of thing, just think about positioning yourself as a great resource for your audience. So don't get put off by the name thought leader.
I love that. Love that.
That's great. I mean, we often use like thought leader, and micro influencer is another term that we use as well. But just, the go-to person, I think is I always used to say go-to guy or go-to gal. We're just saying go-to person nowadays. But we all have that one person who we call for, like, household stuff, for example. I need to call X because I'm having a problem with this. That's what you are looking for in your industry, vertical, niche, whatever you want to say. So with that, let's start at the beginning, as they say, because that's a perfect place to start. So you're sitting in front of your computer and you're like, what the heck am I going to talk about? What am I going to publish so that other people can start thinking of me as a thought leader? So picking a topic, who wants to take that one first when you got that blank screen open and you're wondering just what the heck to start writing about?
Well,
Stan, you go.
I'm immersed in the world of Sales Navigator, and there are always new updates coming. So a lot of times it will just be what is new, what's coming in terms of technology that folks will want to be aware of as far as using the tools that we use. So that's one way of picking a topic.
Awesome. Bob, what do you do?
Yeah, so I kind of tap into that vein when it comes to choosing a topic to write about. I generally tap into that really rich vein of people who are already potentially looking for what I am offering. So, questions that clients have asked you is probably the biggest thing, because these are questions that people are wondering about when they're looking for whatever it is that you do. So I like this, especially because not only are people asking this anyhow, I always talk about stop talking about how you help people and just help them. Just answer those questions. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do. And trust me, if you're hearing a question from one person or one prospect or whatever, there are other people who are having these same types of questions. So be sure, let me back up. when you are answering these questions, you are actually helping people because these are questions that people have. And, just go ahead and do that. It's probably one of the easiest sources to start a blog post or a LinkedIn post on. What do you think, Brent?
Yeah, so I'm just going to yes and that. In today's world, in almost every meeting, we have a note taker. And from that, you're going to get a transcript. So when you're talking with all of the clients, as Bob mentioned, grab that transcript and use your favorite LLM. Some of you may be using ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude. We're using Ask SSL, but whatever LLM that you are using now, take that transcript, put it in, and say, pull out all the questions and answers from this transcript. And that from that, you can grab lots of the questions. You may not have even realized in a client call all the things
Mhm.
that were asked and answered. So having that transcript to start is awesome. I'm just going to add one more thing before we go to topic number 2. And this is going to sound like such a elementary concept, but simply go to all of your clients' profiles and look at their activity. What are they engaging on and with, and what are they sharing? Because those are topics they care about.
Yeah, yeah. So now that you have a topic, you got to write the sucker. So when you're writing it, determine to yourself, what is the challenge that is linked into the topic that you have chosen. And then once you determine that, really record the clear takeaways that your audience is going to get. So, in other words, don't just write the challenge and not have a solution. You got to have the solution there as well. Because again, you're not talking about how you help people, you're helping people. So the clear takeaways that your audience will get is probably the key to the blog post. What else would you add to that, Brent?
Well, what I was going to, I just want to be clear that we are now on number 2. We have our topic. Now we're going into
Yes.
write the blog post. So that was perfect, right? Here, if you don't start with the challenge, you're not going to engage the right people. Well, I'm going to, we talk about this all the time, but I'm going to quickly say the 5 things that this blog post should do if we're using this as a social selling piece. It needs to resonate with your buyer, right? So, who are you engaging? Who should be reading this? Who is this going to help? It needs to, as Bob just said, go right into the challenge. Then it needs some takeaways, right? So, what are the clear takeaways? So, if we went into here's the question, that's probably the challenge, right? The question that your prospect asked or your client asked is probably the challenge. So, it's what is the title of this prospect or the industry of this prospect? What is their challenge? And then the takeaways are the advice that you gave them. That is where, so it's resonate, create curiosity. That challenge will draw them in, teach them something new. Those are those takeaways. That gets them thinking differently about their current situation. That's huge, right? And then creates a compelling moment. So it moves them from lurker to engager. So the name of this blog post is really going to matter too. Stan, do you have any tricks with any of the LLMs or anything that you do to get a good name to a blog post?
If I have an outline or a draft of the post, I may ask a ChatGPT, hey, give me 10 titles for this post and emphasize solving this particular challenge, which hopefully will be right up front at the beginning of the post. So that's essentially what I do. I'll ask ChatGPT, hey, here's a draft of a post. Here's the challenge we're trying to solve. Give me 10 options. And a lot of times you can kind of mix and match between what it comes back with.
So I love that. And now we're asking Ask SSL, not just
Yes.
ChatGPT. Um,
Exactly.
so I'm just throwing that out there. So AskSSL.ai is launching soon, which is a customized, personalized platform that will give you all of this at
Yes, exactly.
the
And
button.
then yeah, that's excellent. So there's one other thing that I want to bring up before we go on to the next item on our agenda for today, if we're going to be formal about it, and that is decide on a call to action. So you can't just write the post and then leave them hanging, because hopefully the post is going to make them think, hey, this person really knows what they're talking about. I want to ask them more questions. So you need to decide on a call to action, whether that's download an ebook or an infographic or whatever that has more insights. It could be set up a call directly with you, just a quick 15-minute call to potentially answer whatever question that was brought up in this post, or register for a webinar, especially if the webinar goes more deeply into the question that was posed in the post. So if you have a webinar coming up, and hopefully, again, the webinar is about something, a problem that they are having, and you are offering insights and solutions to that, tie in the webinar to a blog post that then I don't want to say pushes the webinar, but people are probably going to have more questions based on your post. So why not answer them in that webinar?
So let's use the word promotes the webinar.
Promote is a much better word. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
So, and I love that. And I'm going to say one thing, we've always said webinars, but man, we do more LinkedIn lives than almost anything else. So
Yep.
you could do this in a LinkedIn live. You could do, the ultimate goal is we need to move them from lurker to engager, or from spectator to engager,
Yes,
right?
spectator. I was blanking on that word. Thank you.
Yeah, I do all the time, but we want to, I'm still loving lurker to engager. Just can't help it. But we can't start conversations with people unless we know they're there. So we need to create that call to action that Bob's talking about. We'll create the, oh, they're here. Oh, this is who's looking, who's reading, who's engaging, and that's really important.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome. Next item, create 4 to 8 images. So you're sitting there probably thinking, what kind of images am I going to create for this post? You have to remember that if you're publishing on a blog or if you're publishing a LinkedIn article, this is a visual medium. You should have something that is eye-catching there. So specifically for either blog posts or for LinkedIn posts, you need a hero image for the blog post, something that when combined with the headline is really going to capture people's attention and have them read through the article, which is what you want. So you need that hero image. And if you're a part of a company, make sure that the hero image reflects the company branding, company colors, and all of that type of stuff. Now, that's just one type of image that you should probably create. Stan, what other ones are we talking about here?
Sometimes when I'm talking about Sales Navigator, it'll just be a screenshot of the particular feature that I'm going to be talking about. So for someone who's graphically challenged like me, that's one way to do it. It still makes the point. And I'm experimenting with using some of the AI image creation tools. I've done that a couple of times with Dolly and Meta.ai and
Ooh,
Midjourney.
very
Oh,
nice. Very nice.
I've not done Meta.ai. How's that going?
It's cool. They have a watermark in the bottom left, so everyone's trying to manage, how to clearly identify this is made by AI, because that's a huge hurdle that we're going to have to figure out how to handle. What's been created by AI and what hasn't been.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Bob, did you share yours? It's already been so long, I can't remember.
Yeah, just
Hero image.
the hero image being for the blog post being the most important part. But one thing that I'm seeing taking off more and more is animated GIFs or animated images. Those attract attention as well. So if you have the graphic capabilities and the knowledge to do that, an animated GIF is another great way to really draw attention to an article. And by the way, if you have like a LinkedIn post or something like that, you can actually find GIFs that are in LinkedIn that are already created that you can use in posts or as in regular LinkedIn posts as well. I wouldn't necessarily use those for the blog post unless you find something that's just absolutely knockout gorgeous. But that's another way to really draw attention to what it is that you are saying.
So I love that. I actually tried that this weekend and I used Canva. So I did Canva and
Oh,
I did videos and I had like just it was just a 12-second and it just keeps going, right? Like you in Canva, I downloaded it and I even though it's not really a GIF, I uploaded it as a video to my post and it runs like it almost it looks gifty like and I absolutely love that. The other thing is Canva has a ton of images. If you it's worth paying, it's not a lot of money, you're going to get a lot of images. But the one last thing that I want to mention before we move on is lifestyle images. So when Stan, Bob, and I were in Nashville last year, we had a photographer come in and take images. So when you watch like the video before, if you're watching us live, we have like this intro video and it's all of our lives, it's like lifestyle images. So if you have a company or a team, getting some of those personal images and using some of those, not like a headshot image, but working or doing things can really have a big impact on folks scrolling and stopping.
yeah, very good, very good. So let's move next away from posts necessarily, although you can include these in posts. But now we're going to talk a little bit more about videos because videos are hot, videos are big, videos are never going to go away. Get used to it. But when it's you really need to be out there with video, but you don't need to create these, 8 to 10 minute long things where you think that you're going to be on camera constantly and just talking, talking, talking. You can do short videos. And in fact, if you're going to publish them as LinkedIn posts, you should be concentrating on 30-second to 2-minute videos. And this is especially important because LinkedIn is really pushing videos nowadays. So you really should do that. But how do you get the content for it? Use your posts to create video scripts. That's probably one of the easiest ways to create videos is to just take them from your posts because you've already published them. Why not do a video as well? And then if you post them separately, you're getting more juice out of that idea to start with. And that's just one way to use videos. What else can you think of, Bryn?
Well, so I love that. And you can take the original transcript if you want it to be slightly different than the post. But reading the post
Yep.
is not a bad idea. I love that. The transcript, if you put that into your favorite LLM, ours being Ask SSL, yours might be ChatGPT for now. But upload the transcript and say, please write a 30-second or 45-second or 60-second video script. Now I'm going to jump just slightly ahead because we're using Big View, which is a teleprompter video. So on your phone, you can take that script and it goes into a teleprompter and you can record it, but you're reading, but it goes right under the video so it doesn't look like you're reading. And for those of you that struggle on video, this is by far the easiest way to do that. And you're getting it in vertical video, which is what LinkedIn is really emphasizing.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything to add there, Stan?
Just what you mentioned, Bob, being able to repurpose anytime that you're on camera. So if you're doing a training, just take clips from that or have one of your team members take clips from that and use that. And again, the vertical video as far as LinkedIn goes.
Yeah, very good, very good. So, Bren, I'm going to have you handle the next one because I always consider you to be the queen of polls. So, and we're talking specifically about LinkedIn polls here. So we're going to link in, get it, LinkedIn. We're going to link in polls and text posts together into like one into like one agenda item here, but text posts and polls still most definitely work on LinkedIn when it comes to content sharing and delivering that value that your audience or prospects wants to see.
Yeah, so we have a custom prompt that helps to create the poll in LinkedIn. But if you know kind of what it takes for the poll, like for example, um, that it's 140 characters for the question and it's 30 characters for each of the answers, you can actually upload that transcript into your favorite LLM, large language model, and give it the parameters for a LinkedIn poll, have it write you the text, and you can create a poll specifically from your transcript. So it's very simple to do. And you may even read through the transcript and pick one of the questions and then just copy and paste the question and your answer in use that to create the poll, or you can manually do it like we used to do in the olden days.
Huh.
You can just kind of look at that question and rewrite it in 140 characters, and then when you write your text above it, you could say, I was in a conversation with a client and this question came up and I'm curious what you guys think about
Yes.
this question, right? And then you've got this poll out there, but it also is saying, hey, these are the conversations I'm having with clients, which will then lead a little bit closer to your solution without selling. And you can almost use that poll like a top of the funnel discovery. And this is a perfect way to move them from lurker to engager. It's a one-click vote, right? A one-click vote. So that's poll. I don't know, Stan, if you want to add to that.
Just when you do create the polls, make sure you make the time to follow up on them. Share them with people that you think the poll will be relevant for, and then check and see who has responded and how they've responded. And then, if appropriate, follow up with those people as well.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And then not only just the individual follow-up, but you can use the results of the poll as additional content as well.
There's a
So never
bonus.
forget that.
Yeah,
So never forget
bonus.
that. I mean, you can get several pieces of really good content out of one poll. So if you've got that, blank screen thing going on in front of you and you're wondering what you're going to do something next time, go back to an older poll, see what the results were and see if you can pull something else out of it and even put that into an Ask SSL or Chat GPT and have it generate topics for you based on the results of the poll, and maybe the poll even got some comments underneath it. You can borrow ideas from that for additional content as well.
Exactly.
Fantastico. I love
Yeah.
that.
So now we need to get the word out a little bit. So this is the next item on our agenda. You want to identify the people who can amplify your content, whatever form that is, because especially when it comes to the LinkedIn algorithm, the more people who are commenting, who are sharing, who are liking, all of that will help the LinkedIn algorithm to push your content out more organically to other people on LinkedIn besides these people. So this could be, clients, coworkers, friends, family. If you're in specific communities that this post, video, poll, whatever you just published can help, tap into all of those people and see if they'll like it, if they'll comment on it. Hopefully they'll comment and like it, or think it's inspiring, or whatever the other icons that are underneath it that I can't think of right now, or just more interaction
Man.
will help boost that to others essentially.
Sorry. The little purple curious guy.
Yeah, the purple
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. That's funny. That's funny. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Just briefly, you don't want to overdo it, but Bob mentioned friends, so you can give, select friends a heads up
Yeah.
that you're publishing something that you'd really like to get their opinion on and for them to share, and then just share the link with them. Again, do it judiciously, but it is a way to amplify.
I love that. I'm just going to add, we have some groups where there's no pressure to engage. I'll start to say this is not a pod. There
Right.
is no obligation, but there are like-minded people that often are engaging on similar content, and where you can share your content. I think our SSL has 41 people in ours, right? So we can share our content in there, and if someone in that group is inspired, they can go engage. So I
Okay.
have a bunch of these. I have the Women Sales Experts group. I have a JVMM group. We have global LinkedIn experts. We have US LinkedIn experts that we're all, and I'm sure you guys are in groups that I'm not in, right? And like Influencer Summit and all kinds of fun things. These are opportunities to get your content. And I would say, like, if this inspires you, I would love engagement, right?
Yep.
And
That's
so right. And so at the bottom of every single post from a human, not necessarily companies, but from a human, there's a little paper airplane. And when you click on that, you can share it in 10 inboxes at a time. But if you've got these groups and there's 40 people in one group and 20 people in another, it's not really a group. I'm going to rephrase that so that we have the right nomenclature. If you have 20 people in a joint message, and 40 people in a joint message, each one of those messages is only considered one. So if you've got these message threads with multiple people, you can actually get it in front of hundreds of people at one time. So I would just encourage that. All right. I think the next one is hashtags, which I don't want to spend a ton of time on because LinkedIn isn't spending a ton of time on hashtags.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely. So just use them basically, even though LinkedIn is, as Bryn said, not putting nearly as much emphasis on them as they used to. We could still use hashtags ourselves. So especially if you can create your own unique hashtag that when someone clicks on it and you're using it in every single post, they will have kind of a library of everything that you have filed under that hashtag. So we use SSL Insights for ours. And every single time we post something, we use that hashtag so that when someone clicks on it, they'll see all of the content that we have published using that hashtag.
So I love that so much. I would add that a couple things. Make sure your company page is following that hashtag so
Mhm.
that they can engage when you share. But
Mm,
also, you may have your own individual one. The company should have one as well.
Yes.
So, and you can use more than one. So you'll show up in the company content feed if they click through and your own. That's great. So I wasn't going to talk a lot about hashtag, but we talked more than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit more. A little bit more. Let, Next, let's talk about scheduling. And Stan, why don't you go ahead and take that? Because if you don't have a schedule, you're not going to do it, basically.
Oh,
yeah,
I was
if
thinking
it's
about this really quickly is schedule it in LinkedIn's in the scheduler
scheduler,
Yes.
in
Yep.
LinkedIn, but both.
Yeah. Both.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So Stan, you get to pick which one
yeah.
you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, here I'll do it this way. Schedule engagement in your calendar with whoever responds to whatever you post. So in other words, we talk about don't post and ghost. So when you post, make sure that you have some type of tickler reminder to check notifications or go back to the original post so that you don't miss opportunities to engage. So that's another way of thinking about scheduling kind of part two, so to speak.
Yep.
I love that. I'll just share in my mind, and then Bob, you could talk a little bit about a content schedule. But in my mind, the schedule, which I love that we have all these different perspectives, is LinkedIn now has a little clock. So if you now you have the blog post, you have your images, you have your mini videos, you have whatever these things are, you can chunkify your time and schedule like one piece of content every day in like a half hour a week. That was my
Yep.
thinking. But
Yep.
share you, because you're really good at this. Share your idea of like a content schedule.
Yeah, so that's you might hear these called editorial calendars every once in a while, but if you have a schedule to where you know you're going to publish something on like Monday or Wednesday, like every single week, make sure that you are actually scheduling this. So one, it's doable for you. You don't want to overdo things and then burn out on them. But with with what Bryn just said about actual scheduling, what you can do is, if you're sitting around on a Sunday afternoon, you go ahead and write two things, and then you can use the scheduling icon there so that, and use the functionality so that things publish when you want them to publish. So you can actually kind of combine both too if you want, which is the ultimate situation in my opinion.
So I love it. I'm just going to add one quick thing before we move on, and I think we'll probably only get to one or two more. But I think to have a schedule, and this is something Jack Hubbard does. Like on Mondays, he shares a quote. On Tuesdays, he shares, an insight. On Wednesdays, he shares a an interview that he did with someone. And so, I'm not sure that that's exactly the right order, but every Monday he shares the same type of content. Every Tuesday he shares. So 5 days a week he's sharing something, but he's got like from his content he's creating 5 things for the week. So just thought I'd throw that out as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just gonna say, let's just do 2 more, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up because we have a training to do. So we actually need to get off the call, as they say on Zoom calls and things like that. So the next one we're gonna talk about, and this one's really, really simple, is, you got all this stuff done. Now it's time to actually share it. So, a couple of quick things to keep in mind here is choose where you're going to publish your post, whether it's on your company's website and their blog, on LinkedIn articles, or potentially even both, which you can do that as well, as long as you're linking back and forth. So, this post also appeared on LinkedIn, and then provide the link for that, and then the same thing on your website to kind of cross back and forth, just so that you don't get hit by Google's what do you call it, the duplication penalty, because you don't want to have the duplicate stuff out there. So if you link back and forth, you can definitely publish to both. The other thing you have to determine, and this only applies to some people out there, is choose whether you share it on your personal timeline or your company's timeline. Now, I think that most people would want to share on their own personal timeline because, again, you are trying to be that go-to person. So that's you as opposed to your company, but there might be reasons why you want to do it on your company page. But if you do post it to your company page, make sure that you're tagging yourself within that post, and then you can even comment on the company's page as yourself in the comments section. So that's actually really cool. And then also to use appropriate hashtags.
Amazing. So I think as we kind of round this out, our last one, I'd love for each of us to just say what is our number one tip for showing up as an industry expert, a thought leader, a resource. One tip.
Stan, why don't you go first?
Stay focused on content that's relevant to your audience.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Bren,
I would say my number one tip is use AI prompting and your transcripts to ensure that you're productive and that you're capturing your voice.
mine is going to steal from Nike, but with a little bit of a caveat. So just do it with the asterisk. Do it consistently, and part of consistently is doing it at a pace that you can keep up with. So like I said earlier, don't go all out and then just disappear. I would much rather see people go once every other week, determine that's okay, then go to once a week and then twice a week and really just kind of step up with it rather than just go all out and then disappear.
Stop. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I love that.
So
And the consistency is so important. So if you're doing like roller coaster, you're going to lose a lot of momentum. So I love just the consistency over the volume.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with that, thank you for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or other social networks right now, we do this every week. So, keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us recorded on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button and do the bell ringy thingy if you have that as well, so that you can access all of our previous shows and be alerted to when new ones drop. Socialsaleslink.com/podcast is where we have a repository of all of our stuff, as well as through all of the other podcast platforms that we are on. Now, we do 2 shows weekly. We do this one and our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and so many more other areas. So when you are out and about, be sure to make your sales
Social.
So